All right, guys. Yesterday we learned how to do a check registry. We wrote some checks. We filled out the deposit slips. We did all of that basic stuff. For today, and this is the second part, what you're going to find on your quiz, okay, on your quiz on Friday. It's called reconciling a bank statement. Have you ever heard of balancing your checkbook? That might be more of what you've heard before. I don't call it reconcile a bank statement. It sounds intimidating. No, no. That was you finding your balance, but does your balance match what the bank's balance is? That's what you need to check for. The reason you reconcile a bank statement or you balance your checkbook is every month when you get that bank statement from the bank, and a lot of times anymore it's all online, but back in the day they used to actually mail it to you, and it would show you a listing of every withdrawal, every deposit that was made over the course of the last month. Some of you may still get them. I get mine emailed to me, so. But they still do those in one way, shape, or form or another. But the reason they do that is for you to take a look at that and then go back and look and see what you have down and make sure the two things match up. It's also to help you in case you, accidentally wrote a number down wrong. And you may think you have a lot more money than you actually have because you wrote something down wrong. I was just talking to my neighbor last night. She was helping her mom, who's older. Her husband passed away, so like she never did any of the banking. So she's like trying to learn how to do all this now. And she said like she had $14,000 in her account. So she's going through, she's doing all this stuff. And her mom was writing down every time she used her credit card in her check registry. You know, credit card doesn't come out of your checking account, right? Yeah, her mom was writing that down wrong. But then like she went through and all of a sudden she went from 14,000 to 24,000. And she's like, Mom, how did you get an extra $10,000 in here? Oh, I don't know. I was using one of those solar-powered calculators. It must be something with that. Like, she didn't even, like, realize suddenly she had an extra $10,000. Yeah, it was kind of sad. But at the same time, this is why, like, when the bank sends you these statements, that you need to double-check what you have versus what they have and make sure it works. Also, what happens if somebody used your account and charged something? If you don't check it every single day, and some of you may not, I know I don't, you know, if you don't, you might miss that. But as you kind of go through and double check, making sure everything lines up, you might catch that, like, hey, wait a minute, I did not charge that. Then you might have a fraud issue to deal with. Noah? Mm-hmm. What's check money? You mean like Czech Republic? Oh, like you're talking foreign currency. I know nothing about that. What? I did know that. It's about all I know. I don't know. I shop in the U.S. All right. So let's go ahead and go through this, guys. So first thing is a bank statement. All right. Bank statement is a statement that includes all transactions that have occurred for a period of approximately 1 month. So we just kind of talked about that. Your bank sends you this paper, a couple papers, depending on how much you've actually had coming and going for the past month. They'll mail it to you or email it to you this day and age. And it shows every single thing that has occurred on your account in the last month. You're welcome. Your quiz on Friday will have vocab on there. And about, excuse me, about half of you on your chapter test over stocks, about half of you annihilated in a bad way the vocab part. Okay? So tomorrow we're going to do a little more practice on vocab along with making sure we know how to do everything we're doing today as well. Okay? Making sure we're ready. Noah? I I don't look at names when I grade. All right, a statement period is the dates that indicate the range of dates in which the transactions occurred. So you'll have like, it'll say like the top of when you get that bank statement, it'll say your statement period, and it may say from like June 3rd of 2017 to July 3rd of 2017. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a full like June, July. Okay, it could be from like part of a month to like part of the next month, just kind of depending on like when you opened your account and when your bank decides to send statements out. Right, your starting balance, the amount of money in an account at the beginning of a statement period. Bless you. So when you get these bank statements, there's a lot of info on them. A lot of it's summarizing different things or telling you info that you don't really need to like double check, okay? One of which is your starting balance. I'm hoping that you can look in your your checkbook register, you know, whatever your accounts are, and you can kind of figure out where you left off from the last month checking it as you continue checking in this month. And then your ending balance, the amount of money in an account at the end of the statement period. Now that one we're going to use a lot. Okay, your ending balance, this one's really important. Put a star. Ending balance is one of the main things we look at on that banking statement. So for today, we're going to be looking at how to actually balance a checkbook using the bank statement versus your check registry. And some of you did great on last night's homework doing your registry. Others of you may need to calm yourself down a little bit as you write things down. Okay? Not a big fan? It's tedious. Yeah, it is long and tedious. I mean, I do. Think about all the times, you know, if I run to the store, you know, you run to get gas, I get cash out, I got to buy this for my kid, I got to send a check in for school for their fees, and here, I mean, it's constant. Yep, sorry. All right. Number 5, outstanding deposits. That means they're awesome, right? They're outstanding. No, that's not what that means. Outstanding deposits, they're just deposits that do not appear on your bank statement. So like you may have written them down in your checkbook, but they don't show up on the bank statement when they mail it to you. Okay, and that could happen on different things because a lot of times if you go to the bank after a certain time, they may say that it doesn't show up until the next business day or next banking day's, you know, date. That's going to happen. If you pay bills online, a lot of times it'll tell you, no, this won't actually be posted until the next business day or like 2 business days away. So things don't always post immediately. Outstanding checks, checks that do not appear on the bank statement. Those should be easy vocab words, right? Right. And again, my mom yells at me for this one all the time. She'll write me a check to pay me for something, and I don't go to the bank that often, so I don't cash her checks probably as often as I should. Sorry, Mom. So she'll get her bank statement, she'll look at me, and she'll call me up. Have you not cashed that check I gave you yet? It did not clear. I'm like, yeah, sorry, Mom. Still in my wallet. So that one happens a lot. All right, and then the next part, balance a checkbook or reconcile a bank statement, which is what we're going to learn how to do today. It's the process of verifying the bank's records to make sure no errors have been made. Mm-hmm. Well, that would be a reason like you would keep your check registry. So in her registry, she's already subtracted it off. So in her mind, that money is gone, even though technically it's still in the account because I haven't cashed the check yet. That's why it's important that she wrote it down so she knows that money will be gone as soon as I actually get my butt around to going to the bank. Yeah. No, but no, that's why she needs to write it down and subtract it out. Even though the bank may say it's there, she knows, because she wrote it down in her check registry, that I will cash that check eventually and it will be taken out. Eventually. I'm really bad about that. Don't write me a check. It'll take me like 3 months to cash it. Yeah, I know. I was just talking to somebody about that yesterday. I really need to try that. I've never done it. Where you take a picture of a check, take a picture of that. It just makes me nervous, you know? Like, then what do I do with the check? Can I cash it twice? You know what I mean? Like, aren't you supposed to keep it to make sure it clears, and then you just makes me nervous. Like, I feel like the bank should just have that. Like, I shouldn't have that. All right, are we good? Okay, so you have this on your paper. Notice I printed the notes a little bigger today. There's not 4 things on a page, but there's 2. Tried to make things a little bigger so you could see them. All right, so below is a bank statement and check register for Michael Biak. I don't know what his last name is. Checking account. What steps are needed to reconcile his bank statement? Did I skip a slide? This is a really important one. We need to talk about this one. Sorry, I just popped right past that one. All right, here's how to actually balance it. We need to do this before we move on to actually doing it. I thought that seemed weird. All right, so you want to compare the entries in your check register with the bank statement. So like if you're sitting at home working through this, you're going to have both things laying in front of you. Your check registry, calculator, and your bank statement. Okay, you will enter a check mark in the check register for each deposit and check listed on your monthly statement. So when I would go through and do this, I'd look and, okay, first one of my checks or my bank statement, I'd find it. I find it in my registry. I check both off. So I know I found this one, found it over here. Go to the next one, check it off, check it off. Like I'm checking it on both as I'm going to make sure I don't miss something. Okay. You will list any outstanding transactions that have not been checked off. So anything without a check mark, withdrawals or deposits, and find your totals for them. Right? So I'll be like, okay, here's all my withdrawals. That's my total that didn't clear. All of my deposits, total that up for which ones didn't clear. Now you understand when I say doesn't clear, that means it didn't show up in the statement, right? We didn't check those off. So here we go, kind of breaking it down for you. So complete the following steps to actually get this to work. All right, you'll take the ending balance plus the total outstanding deposits. Now this is the ending balance on your statement, okay, on your statement. So maybe you should make a note of that. This is on your statement, not in your registry. So the ending balance on the statement, you're going to add the total deposits that did not get checked off, which makes sense, right? Adding deposits. You will subtract any of those outstanding withdrawals, so anything that did not get checked off, and that will equal your revised statement balance. It should equal the same thing as what your checkbook says. If they equal, you're great. Everything worked out. If they're not equal, you messed up somewhere. Or the bank messed up, which you got to check for those things. Okay? So your revised statement balance should match the balance in your check register. All right, let's go ahead and practice some of this then. All right. All right, so here we go. So what steps are needed to reconcile Michael's bank statement? Well, let's actually go through this process where you're kind of checking things off. Okay? So the fact that it gives me his starting balance over here, I don't really care about that. It's great that they give it to me, but that's not what I'm interested in. Okay, so I'm going to look and be like, okay, a deposit for $35. If I look in his check register, do you see a deposit for $35? Now, keep in mind this should be easier because deposits should be in their own column, right? So next to here, if you look, there's a spot in your registry for a little check mark. Do you guys see that? So next to the 35, I'm going to put a check mark. Actually, I'm going to do this in red so we can see it better. All right, so 35, we'll check that one off. Now, me personally, I check it off over here to make sure I know I checked that off. That's just me trying to cover my butt. All right, so next is a deposit for 100. Did we find that one? Okay, check that. Now, it's already checked off. Is there another one down here on 11/11, the date that this one called for? There we go. Now, why are those check marks already there on some of them? Last month's statement, they had already gotten checked off. Okay, so we don't need to worry about that. All right, so then now look, we're noticing to the withdrawals. And a lot of times this is how your bank statements are. They'll list all of your deposits, then they list all the withdrawals. Okay, so I have a withdrawal for 158.08. Yes, yes, I have that one in here, 158.08. Check, check. Now, real quick, I want you guys to note something. Do you see how this withdrawal has a date of 11/13, but the withdrawal here is not 11/13? Good. It did not actually clear the bank until 11/13. Do you see how it has a check number next to it? This person's like me. They didn't cash the check right away. Okay, so you need to be aware of that. So don't always look at just the dates because they may not line up exactly. But you should notice it did have the check number, so that can help you find it also. It's got the check number written over here. All right, 4650. You find that one? 4650. Yep, and again, it's got that check number on it, so we can always check those. 7464. Check. Well, we not only have to make sure they're all there, we got to actually do that, make our check marks, and then we have to actually balance it. And then 1950. Way up here. 1950. 1950. Okay. So you need to look at your bank statement first, go through and check everything off that's actually listed. Okay? Now, my bank statement, if you look, says $628.23. I have down at the bottom $641.13. They don't match right now, but not everything has cleared the bank. So what you need to do is go back, find any deposits that have not cleared, and any withdrawals that have not cleared. And we're going to total those up. So looking at deposits first, if you do your check registry correctly, this one's easy because you got that separate column. So do you see any deposits that we did not clear? Yep, $125. You see how there's no check mark next to it? It has not cleared yet. So let's write that one down. Yes. Question. Okay. All right, double check. Is there any other deposits that don't have a check mark? No. All right, so that's my deposits. How about withdrawals that don't have a check mark? 15. Yep, there's a 15 right there, so let's write that one down. Good. 2910. If you look up, we have an 18. Bless you. And then way at the top, see that 50 at the top? Somebody really needs to cash that check. My mom would be calling. All right. Questions so far? Check everything off. What deposits did not get checked? Which withdrawals did not get checked? Okay? All right, let's total up our withdrawals. What do we have a total of for withdrawals here? Good. $112.10. Okay, so we always go from the bank statement, okay, bank statement. So we're going to take that statement. Again, you can do this right in your calculator, but I'll go ahead and write it down so you can see what I'm doing. So that's my bank statement. We're going to, what do you do with deposits? You add. So let's add in our deposits, and then I will subtract my total of my withdrawals. And what do we get? $641.13. Ooh, geez. So the question will ask, does the account balance or does it reconcile? Yes, because it ended up being the same thing. What if it didn't? Either you messed up in your math trying to do that, or maybe there was an error somewhere in the person's checkbook. Like what yours had negative value and the correct answer was $448, right? She wrote something down wrong at some point, okay? So that's something good to take a look at. And when you're doing this with your own personal bank account, I don't know about you, but nothing freaks me out more than when it doesn't work. And I'm like, oh crap, what did I forget to write down? Like, what did I forget? And then you're like, how much money do I really have? Is there more money sitting out there that I don't know? Like, then it freaks you out. Okay. There you go. All right, so example 2. Nancy has a balance of $1,078 in her check register. The balance on her bank account statement is $885.84. Not reported on her bank statement are deposits of $575 and $250 and 2 checks for $195 and $437.84. Is her check registered balanced? Explain. So do I actually have to go through and check things off in this example? No, this is just going to tell me what's left. So where do we start? Do you start with her bank account statement or her balance in her register? The bank account always comes from the bank. Okay, so her bank account statement right here, that's what we're going to start with. Okay, so 885.84. That's her bank statement. Because chances are, who's wrong, us or the bank? Probably us. Every once in a while there's an error on their end, but usually we used a solar power calculator and messed everything up, right? I love that that was her excuse. All right, so not reported on her bank statement deposits of $575 and $250. So what should I do with those? We're going to add those back on, right? And just for sake of ease, $575 and $250. And 2 checks. Checks go in your account or out of your account. If you wrote checks, they're coming out, right? So what do we have to do with the $195 and $437? We subtract $195 and subtract $437.84. And see what we get. So take a minute, type all that in, tell me, is it balanced or not? All right, what do we get when we totaled all that together? $1,078. So did it balance? Yes. So is her check register balanced? You would tell me yes. As far as an explanation, you showed your work, we're good. Okay? Okay, back page. Use Tina Weaver's monthly statement and check register to reconcile her account. All right, so part A, what is the ending balance on the statement? Good, because notice it asked on the statement. So if we're looking at the statement, we're looking down here. There's the statement ending balance. Okay? So this is part A. I'm just going to label it part A. I'm going to be lazy, and there's my answer. All right, part B. What is the total of the outstanding deposits? So what should we do before we can tell if they're outstanding or not? Yeah, so we need to actually go through and check them off. All right, so I'll go ahead and do mine. You do yours, and we'll see how we did, okay? So look for them, check them off. Yeah, I could have printed it as like 4 slides on one page. I did 1 slide on one page. Kind of like a little matching game, isn't it? Nobody else finds this fun? It's a little therapeutic to me, I don't know. All right, hopefully you're checking them off as you mark them off to make sure you don't miss any. All right, so part B then asks, what is the total of the outstanding deposits? So what do I need to go back and look for? Good, deposits that don't have a check mark. So if we look at deposits, which deposits do not have a check mark? 700. Is that the only one? All right. So part B, there's the answer for part B. $700 is the only one that was not checked off. Part C, what is the total of the outstanding withdrawals? So what am I looking for now? Okay, good. If I'm looking at all of the withdrawals, I'm not checked, which I have a 50 and I have a 39. And I heard someone tell me 89, which is correct. So that is the answer to part C. Yeah. All right, so then I look at D. What is the revised statement balance? What on earth is it asking me for? Yeah, the revised balance is you actually kind of putting it all back together and see how it works. So we're going to start with which number? Your check registry or the bank's? The bank. So I start with the bank, 14, 34, 19, and you're going to add your deposits back on, which we found was 700, and you will subtract your withdrawals, which is 89. So what do we get when we add those and subtract those off? And how much cents? 19. Okay, good. All right, so that was part D. All right, so you're actually just doing the same thing we just did in that last problem, kind of adding on and subtracting, which didn't come. Part E, what is the balance of the check register? Yeah, right here. It's already on there. The check register was right there. So that's part E. And then part F, does the account reconcile? How do you know they reconcile? They're the same. That one and that one, they're the same. So yes, it did reconcile or it did balance. Yeah, really it's, can you play the matching game, checking things off? Look at all the things that were deposited that were not checked. Look at the things that were subtracted out that were not checked. And you just kind of total them up, add and subtract. All right, we want a brain break? I think it's a good idea.